Luke chapter 18 verses 9 to 14. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. The Fighting Roosters and the Eagle. Two game roosters were fiercely fighting for mastery of the farmyard. The vanquished rooster skulked away and hid himself in a quiet corner. The conqueror flew up to the top of a high wall, flapped his wings and crowed exultingly with all his might. An eagle sailing through the air pounced upon him and carried him off in his talons. The vanquished rooster immediately came out of his corner, and ruled henceforth with undisputed mastery. From the book of Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18 we read, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." I'm sure you all heard the expression, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Oftentimes we see people puff themselves up with pride like the Pharisee in today's reading, but in God's time, they mimic a balloon, and burst because they became more and more prideful. John DeLorean left General Motors to start his own automobile manufacturing company in Northern Ireland. The dream burned out, while his debts flared. His company went into receivership and the factory closed in November of 1982. DeLorean was also indicted on alleged drug trafficking but was acquitted. In 1985 DeLorean declared that he was a born-again Christian. By 1995 DeLorean had been reduced to selling high-end watches on the internet under the name DeLorean Time. On March 19, 2005 DeLorean's pride was in full remission. He had passed from this world to the next. In Proverbs chapter 3 verse 34 we read that God shows favor to the humble. 1 Peter chapter 11 verse 5, "Likewise you that are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." The Pharisee stood in the temple out of pride, not humility. He lists all his perceived virtues but misses his sinful pride. The tax collector on the other hand prays not out of pride but out of humility, and he, not the Pharisee, went home justified. If you are prideful, read James chapter 4 verse 6, "God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." If you have adversity in your life, it might be caused by your pride rather than your humility. Pride is a spiritual cancer that devours families, destroys marriages, divides churches, and corrupts governments.